Welcome to another Rebel Little walkthrough. I'm back at it with Dragon's Dogma 2. I do want to say thanks for tuning in. I appreciate a lot of support. All the members of the Rebel family, appreciate you guys. New subscribers, welcome to the channel. Yeah, let's get into it. So today we are going to tackle all things pawns. Let's jump into the rift and get into it. So first things first, once you get into the rift, this is pretty much your rift stone where you can see a lot of different pawns that's available to you. Each rift stone might have a different set of pawns. Some rift stones might give you more options than others, but you do get a good amount of pawns that's usually within your power range. So the pawns that are higher in level will be a little bit more expensive, and the ones that are lower in level will be closer or cheaper. The ones that are your level or lower will be free, so just keep that in mind. There's a lot of different categories, such as you can view the types, you can view the weapons or the moves that they currently have equipped. You could also view the specialization, or if they're able to guide you on a specific quest, or you can see if they have any badges or pawn badges. You get pawn badges from pretty much completing or defeating various foes a number of times. So I'll dive into a lot of this stuff in just a moment. The first thing you want to know is how to hire a pawn. You will need RC, which is Rift Crystals, or think of it as Rift currency. That's what you use to hire pawns. You get that a lot from just defeating enemies throughout the game, completing missions and things like that. It stacks up pretty easily. I tend to not spend it too much, but that's how you hire pawns. In this specific riftstone that's in a village, you do get more options. So you could do an advanced search, you could view some of your favorite pawns and things like that. I'll dive into that in a moment. Let's talk to a pawn.
I've a knack for gathering items and am ever on the hunt for new finds. I'll gladly try out any useful mechanisms I espy.
So when you first talk to a pawn, they'll give you pretty much an idea on what type of pawn they are or how they are in general. You do have the option to hire them. Since this pawn is close to me in level, being a level 2, it's going to be free for me to hire this pawn. And the basic information on the side that pops up, you just get to know their inclination as far as what type of personality this pawn has, their specialization, which will be what type of skill they bring to the table. So we'll dive into that a little bit more when you see different pawns with different skills. You also could view a little bit more detailed information as far as their status, their strengths, their weaknesses, what type of vocations they have mastered, what type of moves they have equipped to their current vocation, and things like that. You also could view the core skills that they currently have unlocked or equipped. So it's a lot of information that they provide to you in regards to these pawns. As far as pawn badges, we could dive into that now, but feel free to pause it if you want to read this stuff. It's pretty much just letting you know what a pawn badge is and how defeating monsters can help you to unlock them. It pretty much lets you know that this pawn is very good at taking down these type of monsters. They may have some information on how to take down these monsters and things like that. So also is a good thing to use for a pawn quest. So if you want to give your pawn a certain quest, which will incentivize people to hire this specific pawn, you can use those pawn badges as a way to do that. You do also get the option to add these pawns to favorites, and if you also look at the pawn details, you also could see a little bit about the Arisen, who is the person who created this pawn in general, and their online ID and things like that. When you're adding a pawn to your favorite, it's pretty much just to keep this pawn in the fold. If you want to hire them later on, or you find a use for them, you can go back and look at them. You also want to hire a pawn as they get stronger over time. You can always revisit them if they're on your favorites list. So there's no harm in adding it to your favorite. You don't necessarily have much of a limit in that regard. If you do, I would say it's maybe around 100, but you don't have much of a limit in that regard. So if you see a pawn that's intriguing, adding it to your favorites, you can, but you know, you run into so many different pawns, you might not necessarily need to do that. So let's look into the search for a pawn information, see if we can at least look at it a little bit and see what type of details you can use in this section. So when you go into your pawn's favorite, you do have the option to hire your friends' pawns. If you do have friends on your friends list who play Dragon's Dogma 2, you can hire them for free, which is the best thing that you can do. If you have friends who have a higher level, you can't necessarily afford to hire them with RC very early in the game, but if they're on your friends list, you can hire their pawn for free. It's one of the most beneficial things to getting ahead early in the game. So I'm gonna use my other account, the pawn that I have. From there, I'm gonna hire. So if I want to hire her, I just gotta summon it to this Riftstone. So let's do that. So this is the pawn that I have on my other account. So this one is the pawn that has completed the game already and has a lot of information that's going to help me and guide me on my journey this time around. So let's look at her information and see exactly what is on display.
You can count on me to fly to your aid in your hour of need, Master. Knowing when to use curatives is my specialty.
So when a pawn has a specialization, they tend to let you know in their opening speech. So if you look at the specialization category, she has something listed there. It's pretty much just a specializing, it's her specializing in the ability to use curatives and knowing when to do it and when not to do it. So she's pretty much good at managing those things. That's the specialization that I have equipped on her at the moment. So that's what she comes with. Let's look at her details and things like that. So you can see pretty much her strengths, weaknesses, all of her stats and things like that. And you could also view the moves that I currently have equipped on her. She's a sorceress who's maxed out in that specific vocation. By the time you guys see this video, this stuff might all look different. If you wanted to view my initial pawn, you can always look this information up for yourself and you'll be able to summon her to the Riftstone and view her information. You can also hire her if you want to, but her stats might be a lot different by the time you see this stuff than what it is in this video. So just keep that in mind. But this is all of her moves and things like that. So she's currently a sorceress vocation, which is very, very, very strong version of a mage. They tend to have a lot more powerful spells at their disposal. They're not much of the healer support type. They're more of the attack type of magician or mage. So a lot of their moves tend to be very powerful, very aggressive and things like that. So you can also view a lot of the information from my previous account. If you wanted to hire this pawn for free, you probably would have to add that account to your friends list in order to get this pawn for free. You also could just hire her using RC, but it may be quite expensive depending on your current level. So the closer you are to level 50, the cheaper it'll be to hire her. The further you are from that, the more expensive it'll be.
It'll be an honor to serve by your side.
This is pretty much all of the information that you need on specializations in regards to pawns. Feel free to pause it if you want to read this stuff. It does come in handy. It's something we'll tackle a lot more when I get to that part of the game, but some early information on it if you want to see it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can unlock some of these specializations, and most of them is just from building relationships with various characters throughout the game. They tend to just hand it to you once you do have a certain level of affinity with them. So we'll get into that a little bit more once we get to that part of the game as well. But just a quick tip in regards to unlocking these things. A lot of them just come from side quests and building relationship with various characters throughout the game. All right, so that is pretty much the quick information in regards to the pawns. Let's try to hire a team and get a couple of people to run with on our squad. So right now we currently have 2. We could look to try and getting third person on our squad. Definitely want to have a full team of 4 at all times. That way at least you have the most people at your disposal to be able to make your journey a lot easier. So you can go into a pawn search if you want to look for specific things. You could choose what vocation you're looking for specifically. This helps you to narrow things down, what certain level you want that vocation to be. So for me, I already have 2 mages, or at least a mage and a sorceress, so I do need more of a fighting style, someone with either range or close combat. You also can look at the different type of personalities. For me, I prefer kind-hearted pawns, so that's what I'm gonna look into. And they will give you a good amount of pawns that at least fit the description of what you're looking for. So of course you can start shopping for a pawn pretty much in this Rift Crystal. So you can view and look around and see which of these pawns that they summoned fits the bill of what you're looking for. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is in regards to pawn quests. If you're looking for help on a specific quest, what you want to do is have that quest highlighted before you go into the Rift Stone. That way your pawns that you're looking at will have an indicator that tells you if they can guide you on that quest or not. When you look at the pawn quest section, it's going to tell you yes or no. So if you need help with a specific quest, make sure you have that quest highlighted when you're going into the Rift Stone, and then view the pawn guide tab. That way they'll just let you know if that pawn has already completed that quest, and then if they're able to help you on that journey, then you can hire them for that specific mission. It's a very good way to know what pawns have done what missions and if they're able to help you on that specific mission. The stronger the pawn, chances are they've already completed multiple missions that you're doing or about to do, so you might get a lot more use out of them. So you could always check that type of stuff if you hit R1 a couple of times and view the pawn quest guide. For me, when I'm looking for a pawn, I tend to look for certain things. So I like to have them in a kind-hearted personality type. I also look at my team. So I like to have either a bunch of ranged users. I always keep a mage on my team, and I tend to keep a sorcerer on my team as well. So I either look to add someone who can do something close combat, or I look for like a ranged archer, something of that variety. I tend to like to have a balanced team so that I can go up against any foe and feel comfortable on my journey. That's the type of team that I like to have. I like to have a very versatile team that complements each other, and I usually build it based on the vocation that I'm currently using. So right now I'm a fighter. I like to have a mage on my team for support and health building, a sorceress on my team for powerful spells that attack from range, and either an archer or another close combat type of person to fight on the front lines with me.
I am attentive and loyal, and prefer to remain by your side. In battle, I shall follow your lead and prioritize support.
So this is a potential pawn that I can use. A lot of the early pawns tend to have this. They tend to have a pretty easy pawn quest, which is to stay 1 day or 1 night, and they pretty much reward you with a wakestone shard. So it's pretty much a good quest to start out with. Feel free to pause this stuff if you want to read it, but this is pretty much the information that you need in regards to a pawn quest, and they give you all of the details in regards to a pawn quest. I touched on it a little bit, but it's good to read the actual information that the game provides to you. But pawn quests are pretty good. If you're going to set a pawn quest, you want to set one that's achievable, that also has a pretty good reward for it, that incentivizes other people to hire that pawn, and it gets them to want to not only hire them but try to accomplish the quest for you, so that 1, they're helping you to either get more pawn badges or certain materials or things like that, and 2, they're also getting a reward that makes their life easier as well. And as they're hiring your pawn is also gaining a lot more information and experience that they can also relay that information back to you. So it's a very good system to have, and it's a very good idea to try to keep a pawn quest on your pawn, incentivize other users to hire that specific pawn. So it's a pretty solid idea, pretty solid thing in general in regards to these pawns. Let's look at the Riftstone once again, and they do also have another section here that's pretty good, which is this is the official pawns. You feel free to pause it if you want to read this stuff, but these official pawns you can hire at least up to a level 10 for free. So it's a really good way to start your journey. Best way to start it, in my opinion, is by hiring one of these pawns first. That way, at least you have a stronger pawn to start the game out with. So these are the pawns that's at my disposal. Since I currently have a mage and a sorceress on my team, I'm gonna go for whatever is the highest version of either a fighter or an archer. So let's see what we have available to me. So this is a list of all of the official pawns that's in this area. As if you look, the higher the level is, the more expensive that pawn is becoming, is because they're further away from what my current level is. Since they give me up to a level 10 for free, that's what I'm gonna go and hire. I'm gonna work with well, the level 10 is a straightforward pawn, so I'm actually gonna go with the level 9 because it's calm I can work with. Straightforward, they tend to be very aggressive. They run face first into battle. Sometimes it's to take on opponents that they have no chance of beating, and it gets me jammed up as well. So I tend to avoid the straightforward pawns altogether and lean more in the direction of anyone else. So that's my mindset. I'm just gonna work with Kit since he's a level 9. So this is his information. You also get to see a little bit of details in regards to the Arisen. So you're only allowed to hire 2 additional pawns to your team, and when you are hiring a new pawn, you do have to dismiss another one. I'm not going to dismiss Ariel, of course, because I mean, come on, it's a level 50. Why would I do that? So I'm going to dismiss the one I just hired in order to hire Kit, and now I replaced him with Kit, and this is my new team. When you do let a pawn go, you would like to give them a good review and a gift on their way out. Also, just bear in mind, if it says Capcom as their Arisen ID, it lets you know it's an AI. You don't really have to give a gift in that situation since it's just a AI. But if it's another user, then it's always good to give a solid review as far as a thumbs up or a heart, and send them on their way with a little bit of a gift, something that's disposable, that's not really going to do anything for you to lose it. All right, so that's a good amount of information in regards to pawns. If you do have any more questions or concerns in regards to pawns, of course you could let me know in the comment section below. I'll try to do my best to address it or help you in regards to it. Let's see if we could get a little bit of a quest in with my full team since we have a squad.
Hoy there! You seem well tired. Tell you what, you can stay here tonight free of charge. I'll expect coin from tomorrow. My pa always used to say, there's naught a good night's sleep can't fix. Not much else I can offer, I'm afraid, but you'll find all sorts at a finer inn. Aye, being armed is better than being defenseless, even if you're untrained. Still, 'tis worth devoting yourself to a vocation if you can. Opens up new doors, it does. You should stop by the inn in Melve if you get the chance. No hard feelings if you prefer it. They've much more to offer.
So this is some information in regards to resting at an inn. If you're resting at an inn, it's pretty much your hard save to the game. Anytime you rest at an inn, it saves the game and creates a brand new checkpoint. It's a very important part of the game. Is you can always manually save, but if you mess up or anything like that, you could always revert back to your last inn save, which becomes very important. So just use it as a very hard checkpoint, and it also updates the information in regards to your pawn in the Rift. So if you did a lot of different things with your pawn, they leveled up a lot and things like that, once you rest at an inn, it upgrades what your pawn is in the Riftstone. So other viewers and users who are looking for your pawn or see your pawn in the Riftstone, they'll get your most up-to-date version of that pawn after they've rested in the inn. So just keep that in mind. If you want to update your pawn in the Rift, you would have to rest at the inn in order to do that. Otherwise, they'll just have whatever version of your pawn was there before at your last rest point. That's the two things with the inn. It also recovers your health and accelerates time and things like that. That's the gist of the inn and all you really need to know about it. walk around the beginning border watch area just a little bit, try to get some of these chests and this additional money that's just laying around. There's also a seeker's token in this area, but it's a little bit too early in the game to really tackle that type of stuff right now, so I'll touch on that a little bit later. But if you did want to know, there is one in this area. I think it's on top of one of these tents. It's around here somewhere.
Going out, are you? You sure that's a good idea? You ought at least rest for the evening. There should be a spare bed in the lodgings yonder. Only don't go rushing off before you're ready. Take it from me. You're better off resting while you have the chance.
Alright, so they want us to quickly rest at the inn. So let's do that now. Pretty much creates a brand new save or checkpoint in regards to the game. So let's go rest at the inn before we keep it moving.
Hoy there. You seem well tired. Tell you what, you can stay here tonight free of charge. I'll expect coin from tomorrow, mind. My pa always used to say, there's naught a good night's sleep can't fix. Not much else I can offer, I'm afraid, but you'll find all sorts at a finer inn. Aye, being armed is better than being defenseless, even if you're untrained. Still, 'tis worth devoting yourself to a vocation if you can. Opens up new doors, it does. You should stop by the inn in Melve if you get the chance. No hard feelings if you prefer it. They've much more to offer.
We must rest, though the sun is still up.
A moment long awaited. I knew it was only a matter of time before your skills reached a new height.
There's no discipline that steadfast devotion cannot teach.
Nice.
A visit to Melve might jog your memory, Master. It seems the village yet reels from the dragon's assault. Follow me. I will guide you to the location.
Hail! You a soldier? 'Twould be a surprise to see you arrive in one piece if not. Hordes of monsters have been plaguing this area of late, you see. We've had to start sending out new recruits to cull them.
Is that so? Who went yonder?
Lachlan. But I dare say he'll fare all right.
Aye, I expect he will. Who was sent out that way then?
Ricardo. To be honest, sir, I'm a little worried for him.
What? Weren't harpies reported in that area? The lad can't handle those beasts on his own.
This is the first I'm hearing of it. Fie! I want to go to his aid, but we can't just abandon our posts. Say, you seem stout of heart. Would you be willing to go in our stead? 'Tisn't far, only a short ways out from the main gate. You've my thanks. And Ricardo's as well, I'm sure.
Alright, so feel free to pause if you want to read this stuff. But as you continue to play the game, you're going to get a bunch of different quests. So some you may want to set as priority over others. Some are more time sensitive than others. So as we go through this type of stuff, I'll let you know which ones are more time sensitive than others. This one is a time sensitive quest, so we're going to prioritize it and try to do it first.
Let us make haste, that no life may be lost on our account.
So let's set that as the priority quest right now. And let's be on our way. So if you want some guidance, hitting up on the D-pad will help you to get that. This is pretty much letting you know the pawn commands. Feel free to pause it if you want to read it. But there are 4 commands. Let's go through them really quickly. It's up on the D-pad, which will tell them to go. This pretty much lets them know that if they have a quest or if they make a suggestion that they can act on it and guide you in regards to it. To me, just pretty much tells pawns to stop whatever they're doing and come directly to you. It's great in terms of combat with bigger and stronger foes to keep them out of danger. Wait is pretty much to hold them in place. Is really good if you're crossing a bridge or going over water or anything dangerous like that. You can tell them to themselves in place. And calling for help is really good if you do run into a health issue, feel like you're running low on health, they can come to your aid. So
I can take you to this individual.
a lot of good information in that
Why, this
regards.
most welcome. Now we shan't lose our way.
Having a level 50 pawn, I don't even get a chance to fight. That's crazy. Let's wipe these guys out really quickly.
Defend themselves when grappled.
Nice. Quickly leveling up. I'll take it. All right, let's see if we can find the guy in trouble.
I've just recalled. I found a treasure chest near here during my travels beyond the rift. May I show you to its location?
They'll say things like this that just lets you know that they know where something is. Hit up on the D-pad quickly as they're talking. That will put that little exclamation point on them, and it will give them the okay to guide you to what they're referring to.
We must not let down our guard.
So as you run into different enemies and stuff like that, they're gonna forget all about what they were guiding you on. But as soon as you beat everyone, just hit up on the D-pad again and they'll get back to guiding you. Just keep that in mind.
Here we are.
Sir Ricardo is in need of our aid.
So I might not have found this chest on my own, so that's what makes these pawns very
Now we shan't lose our way.
useful in guiding you to certain little secrets that they pick up on their journey from being hired by other users. So it's always really a good system. It's like you're playing a solo player game, but you have so much help from everybody else who also plays the game. It never feels like a solo game. It's pretty dope to me.
How am I meant to slay the beasts if I cannot strike them? Get down here!
There we go. Found our people. So these are harpies. It looks like they'll, once they start flying around and singing like that, they're gonna try to put you to sleep. Try to take these guys out as quickly as possible. Nice. It's really good to have like an archer or a ranged type of vocation on your team for these type of harpies. Nice.
Is that all of them? Yeah, you have my thanks. I do not believe for a moment I could have slain those creatures without your help. I've only just enlisted, and when I thought this could be the end of me, I was paralyzed. You saved me this time, but I won't always be so fortunate. I'll have to train harder till I have the confidence to face such beasts on my own. Well, I'd best be heading back, but I'll be sure to let my superiors know of your good deed. I hope we meet again someday.
We'd best report back.
So let's head back and try to complete this mission.
Hail, friend! Many thanks for aiding Ricardo. 'Twas a relief to see him return, and none the worse for wear.
Aye, that it was. The poor sod might not have made it back alive had you not intervened.
'Twas a bit too early for him to be seeing actual combat. That much was made well clear. We'll be extending his training period. The instructors here are well known for whipping recruits into shape with their grueling regimes.
Speaking of training regimes, I must admit I've half a mind to ask you to join us. We could use someone with your experience.
Nice. Another level up. Quickly, level 4. I'll take it. And yeah, that's pretty much a quick way to boost my status, have a very strong group around me, and you can of course view the things that you've picked up in your inventory along the way. Up a solid amount of things, nothing too crazy. It's really good to try to keep your weight down as much as possible. It's going to be pretty hard to stay in a very light territory, but if you can stay in the light to average territory, you're doing really good. If you do feel like you're getting a little bit heavier, you might want to delegate, start handing certain things off to your main pawn first, and if they become a little bit overburdened, you might want to start spreading the wealth to your other pawns as well. Just try to keep your weight down as much as possible. That way you can move a lot faster when you're fighting and running around the map. So it's a good tip or something to keep in mind as you're going through your journey, that picking up too many things might become a bit of a problem. So just keep that in mind when you're on your journey. But yeah, that's it's pretty much gonna do it for me in regards to this video. I feel like it's gone on long enough. We do have a lot more to cover in future videos, so I'll tackle that in the next one. I do want to say thanks for tuning in. I appreciate love and support. All the members of the Rubber family, appreciate you guys. New subscribers, welcome to the channel. If you did find this video to be helpful, let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like, comment, subscription, all that good stuff. It does help the channel grow. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for me. It's Rebel. I am out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.